Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Think tank Imani Africa urges Supreme Court to declare that the president lacks the power to terminate the appointment of key security chiefs, including the Inspector General of Police. We have details for you. Also on this program, experts dispute ECG's explanation on power outages, citing generational capacity and liquidity challenges. Much later, doctors at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital threaten strike over eviction from their official residence. We are live in the Ashanti region. Thank you very much for joining us. Think tank Imani Africa is urging the Supreme Court to declare that the president lacks the power to terminate the appointment of key security chiefs, including the Inspector General of Police. They are joined by security analyst Professor Kwesi Ening. Through their lawyers, filed a 114-page writ at the Supreme Court with the hope of stopping what they say is a disturbing trend of such key officials being removed from office despite no evidence that they have misconducted themselves. Here are the full list of positions they believe the president should not interfere with. Chief Fire Officer of the Fire Service, Inspector General of Police, Director General of Prison Service, Controller General of the Immigration Service. Now, they have given an idea of preferred mode of removal. That is, when the official dies, when the official retires, or when the official is incapable of performing functions of the office by reason of infirmity of the body or mind, or resignation or dismissed upon proven stated misconduct or misbehavior established against the office holder. Officials unlawfully removed in the past, from 2017, or in 2017 rather, we saw Director General of the Ghana Prison Service, Mr. Emmanuel Yao Ajato, removed from office. In 2021, Madam Elizabeth Ajay, Controller General of the Ghana Immigration Service, she was removed from office. In 2001, Mr. Peter Namfuri, Inspector General of Police, was equally removed from office. 2009, Inspector General of Police Patrick Kwatien Champon was also removed from office. 2013, Paul Tayuakwe, Inspector General of Police, was equally removed. And then in 2019, the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Pietu, was removed. Some of the main reliefs being sought by these applicants, they want the court to restrain or prevent the president from dismissing or removing or attempting to dismiss or remove the appointment of persons occupying the offices of the Chief Fire Officer or the National Fire Service, Inspector General of Police, Director General of Prison Service, and Controller General of the Immigration Service, unless only in cases of proven stated misconduct or misbehavior established against such persons. We'll be bringing you some legal perspectives on this very shortly. But ahead of that, let's bring you that issue that has got you raging. Experts in the energy sector say power outages being experienced in parts of the country cannot be attributed to faulty generators. Power supply to many parts of the country has been erratic, with the situation worsening in the past 1 week, amidst calls for a load management schedule to enable consumers plan their lives. The Electricity Company of Ghana on Monday served notice to Ghanaians to expect power outages across its operational areas between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. daily, and that the situation may result in blown fuses and broken conductors, causing outages, especially during the peak load period. That's between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. However, some experts say the power distributor is being economical about the situation. Speaking to Alfredo Council on Ghana tonight, the Executive Director for Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, told managers of the power sector and the government to admit that the country is facing power generation issues, leading to the outages.
These transformers over the years, I mean, it's just explaining away the problem that we have. It's pure generation problem, and I think we should own up to admit that we have a problem with generation. Everybody in the sector knows that we don't have enough gas, we don't have enough liquids to be able to generate electricity. So if you will not admit that, we do agree that, of course, ECG has had these problems of underinvestments and the rest of it. And even that we disagree, because you look at where we were in 2016, which brought in, PDS. The total investment that was to be done was about 500 million over 5 years to be able to retool ECG. They've done far more than that, and the inefficiency has increased. So what did they do with that money? That today we are still being told that we have over 600 transformers to replace, and that is what is costing the power outages. I don't think that is really accurate, and the right information should be put out, and appropriate mitigation actually taken.
You heard right there, the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Benjamin Boakye. The Institute for Energy Security, IES, also disputes the ECG's claim. Nana Moesie the 7th is its Executive Director.
I've tracked from the beginning of the year to today, in the morning, in the afternoon, and at peak hours, and the IES can confirm that we are producing or generating less power than we require as a country. Our peak demand is hovering around 3,650 megawatts. Since the beginning of the year, we've not produced in excess of 3,300 megawatts before. And so it means that there's a shortfall. I checked last 2 days, and the system production of power was roughly 3,120. And so if our peak demand is 3,600 thereabouts, it leaves a gap of about 500 megawatts. We've also seen that some power plants are not working, though they should be in a position to work, aside Ameri that is being moved to the Ashanti region.
You also heard the Executive Director for the IES, Nana Moesie the 7th. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is also not sparing the ECG either. The ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapor, has equally accused the ECG of peddling falsehood regarding its reason for the increasing rate of intermittent power outages in recent times. The ECG has attributed the recent occurrences to faulty transformers with overloaded capacity. But John Jinapor contends that the real issues causing the return of Doomso, as the minority calls it, has not been reviewed by the ECG and managers of the power sector.
ECG collects 820 million. Instead of paying 500 million to the power sector players, ECG decides that, and this is here, page 2, paragraph 2.3, actual disbursement of revenue to sector players. The total actual revenue reported by ECG to level A beneficiaries stood at 120 million. Instead of 500 million, they paid 120 million to the IPPs. That is one problem. 2, instead of paying the 300 million to Gridco, VRA, and the other power sector players, they paid 162 million. So what it means is that over 500 million cedis cannot be accounted for. Over 500 million cedis has been used outside the cash waterfall mechanism. We do not know where that money went to. We do not know where that money currently stands. And if you read the report itself says, in conclusion, The Commission has validated receipts and payments to all stakeholders along the electricity value chain. It is to be noted that since August 2023, ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new cash waterfall mechanism as directed by the President. So even the President's directive is being violated. The other worrying thing is that since February, the Ministry of Finance has failed to make that monthly payment of 200 million. And so that is culminating in more than 1 billion cedis of fresh debts from the Ministry of Finance alone. If you add this 500 million that ECG fails to pay on a monthly basis, that also takes you to close to about 2 billion. And so clearly the sector is collapsing under this government.
You heard the ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, who is also a minority member. We'll go to Parliament and bring you some reactions, especially from the majority side, how they are responding to this allegation or accusation from the side of the minority. But we stay on energy ahead of that reaction from Parliament because we are too quick to point out faults. We have done well and are working to improve the power sector. Those are the words of the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abner Sassari. The comment comes as many Ghanaians pour their heart out in anger over what they say is a seeming return of doomsday. The ECG yesterday, for instance, issued a statement telling Ghanaians that many would experience light outs between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. The government insists there is no doomsday, and the minister says we must all come together to help. Abner Sassari spoke to me.
Previously, we did not have consistent supply of power. Yes, now we seem to have 1 or 2 issues with the power, but it has been consistent. People no longer bring in huge generators and to buy huge volumes of fuel to man these generators. So in that area, the cost of doing business has come down.
But Ma'am, I'm sure you've seen the PRC report. The PRC report that is suggesting that ECG, for instance, has failed to pay Sogli and all the others the amounts that it's supposed to pay them.
And that is why we have set up the cash waterfall mechanism. Yes, we having some issues with it.
The report eventually is saying that it's not really working as it should. And that's energy experts are thinking.
And we are always quick to point out the faults. But do we stop to also find out what probably might be causing that? So in this country, at least, we also have to do our bit. Everybody. It's not just okay to put out a report, but it's also to find out exactly what has necessitated that and what measures we can all collectively put in place to make sure we address these issues. So one, I believe that yes, we are creating an enabling environment because the issues we have here, it's not just a local issue, it's a global issue. Everywhere across this world, things are tough. Look at Europe, look at America. But we all trying in our own way to make sure we let our country move on. We turn the tide and make sure that we make the economy what we all want it to be. And once the economy is what we all want to be, it will reflect in everything that we do.
Hours ago, ECG actually said that within peak hours between 7 and 11 p.m.
I know I haven't seen that, but I'll be glad to look at that report. I usually want to read the report and ask questions before quickly I speak to it.
Fulfilling our financial obligations, we should so the lights could be on consistently.
You remember when the president came to Parliament during the SONA, the president mentioned that we have been able to renegotiate some of these expensive IPPs that the previous government entered into.
He said
and so yes, we have been able. Yes, so had it even not been that, I think that things would have been different.
So you think you're satisfactory? The work you've done in the power sector is satisfactory enough?
What I'm saying is that we have done some negotiations and that has resulted in a 44%. If you look at the quantum of that 44%, I don't think you'll be asking me whether it's satisfactory enough. We have saved a lot of money.
So what will happen to the lighthouse?
We have saved a lot of money and we'll continue to do that. We have lights out, yes, sometimes intermittently and then. But I believe that in every situation, they put out a report. They give reasons as to why it is so. And so on the whole, I think we have done we have done well, we could have done better, but we are still striving to get there.
Parliament even had lights out
when we were doing the debate. It's because Parliament owed money.
Yes, but it's a state institution.
It is because, so why? What makes you think that when Parliament is not able to pay its electricity bills, it is government's fault?
Is it not a state institution?
Parliament is given its budget, and Parliament runs its budget as it's supposed to run by the law.
We must give enough.
The fact that somebody is not able to pay his or her electricity bill or its electricity bill doesn't mean the money is not enough. It's about prioritizing. We cannot have all the money that we want, and that is why we prioritize. Even Parliament, sometimes a ministry, department, or agency is given a certain quantum of budget. Parliament says, I won't allow you to use everything. You have to prioritize and do A, B, C, D. So that is how it is. Government has given Parliament its budget. Government doesn't run the budget of Parliament. It gives it a budget, and whatever it says it's going to do with that budget, it's supposed to do, including paying your bills.
You had Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abner Sansari, in that interview with me earlier. Let's quickly go to our first story about that suit at the court by Imani and other interest groups for the president not to terminate the appointment of certain individuals. I'm joined on the line by lawyer Yao Pong. He's the director of the Ghana School of Law. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
What's your understanding of this suit filed by these individuals, first of all?
You just graciously sent a copy of the writ containing relief that certain parties are seeking from the Supreme Court. We are yet to attach any other statement that will explain the foundation for the case. So for now, we can only state that, such suits are, for me, commendable because at least it adds to the mounting evidence that the people of Ghana, no matter who they are, to have absolute trust and confidence in our courts, and that they can even sue their own government and trust that the courts will do justice by all the parties. For me, that is what I take from it. It affirms our belief and aspirations that are enshrined in the Constitution, that the rule of law is the only way by which human beings can live in a civilized manner, and also that brute force is not the way to go. And that is what I think I take from what you have just shown me.
Lawyer Pong, you say that this is commendable, this step is commendable. You talk about the fact that we are yet to get the flesh of this writ, as it were, or suit, and again, or petition rather. Again, you say that your you say that your interpretation of it is that people can hold leaders accountable, rule of law is working. What would you say to others who may also interpret it this way, that when you have security agencies, they should be able to independently do their work without the executive interfering with their work?
Well, I don't know about all the inferences, because as I said, they are yet to even file the basis for the suit. What I'm saying is that the fact that people continue to sue their government, sue individuals, even married couples sue each other, is commendable. And for me, that's what I'm taking out from it. When they file the statement of claim or statement of case, however it will be called, and the law permits us to now comment on our understanding of what they place before the courts, we can do so. I'm only saying that this the fact that now citizens are alive to their rights and their duties, and they can even sue when they think there is a dispute about a certain provision or provisions in the Constitution, and that they won't take up arms or use abusive words, but they will sue even if they are suing the government. That is what I'm saying is commendable, because then it also means that they continue to have absolute trust and faith in the judiciary.
The
And that's the way to go.
The petitioners let us in a bit on what they are thinking. They think that it's been a trend of presidents of the country letting go of these individuals in these...
I didn't read that from what you sent me. Did you?
Well, they said that there's been a trend, and so they want...
I'm saying that I didn't read that. I didn't read that from what you sent to me. But if there's anything that you have seen what you are saying, then that is not what you brought to me. I think it's fair for us to maybe focus on what they brought now, encourage people that whenever they have a disagreement with anyone, in the government on the law, the best place to go is the court. That is the final arbiter for the resolution of anything that is by which a law can be interpreted, applied, and resolved. Finally, that's what I read from it.
Finally, not asking you to be prejudicial, though, but do you see that this will see the light of day?
On the basis of this question, let the cap pass by me.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. That was lawyer Yao Pong. He's director of the Ghana School of Law. Thank you for speaking to us. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice. When we come back, we'll bring you some more reactions from Parliament and other issues happening across the country. Stay with us.
Freezer, yeah, diaba. Adama for diaba. A freezer. Adama. A craftsmanship. Adama. Metimosua, my sorry. Canino, Obo Moasia. I do fresh the Nobium Unum and San Last and 9. I don't know what we was here. Adam of Wagner from what we say. Yet the Druba Cope, ever ship we be a high technology. I could for freezer. When Kwan, and once open your 15 letters. No fugum, what's ya, no fugum. What the bus here, if we be any of us, you, equity self, over Timono. Then we sure say, woman showing task here. Freezer, umpa na padi. Freezer.
Dosia, ebaso doso amang. Amoniaji.
Omutina me. Me wasika. Omutina me. Me di me nyina duru be so mudum. Adama, without Adama no kuya. Adama, you can't resist.
Ubenya Adama West Africa for edwe bi we baby biara ye ton kra ye ho edwu. Afi kayo na kenkan enchoya ewo edre ho.
Yes, so here on the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice. Thank you for staying. Now, doctors at the neurological surgery unit of the Tamale Teaching Hospital are worried about the surge in head injury cases at the facility. They say that over 80% of cases reported at the accident and emergency unit of the facility come with head injuries, a situation they blame on recklessness on the part of motor riders. We'll be crossing over to Tamale to engage our Northern Region correspondent Christopher Marco. First, listen to what the doctors have to say.
Tamale here, one of the main issues we are dealing with at the teaching hospital is head injury. Over the past years, we've noticed that there are so many people who come to the hospital with head injury. Currently, as we speak, if you take a stroll to the accident and emergency unit of the teaching hospital, you will realize that more than 80% of the patients there have head injury. And it's something that has an impact on the individual, an impact on the family of the patient, the person, and an impact on society and the country as a whole. And the commonest cause of head injury we have in the northern sector is road traffic accidents, commonly from use of motorbike. A lot of the people riding motorbike in Tamale, quite a significant number of people do not ride with helmet. And so whenever they are involved in an accident, the impact on the head is very, very much.
You heard a doctor at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Christopher Mwako is a man in that region, Northern Region. He joins us live. Christopher, you can tell from what the doctor was saying, worrying situation, but tell us how enforcement agencies are working on getting riders to wear helmet, for instance.
Yes, so Beatrice, it is very difficult for law enforcement agencies to enforce the wearing of helmets here in the Greater Tamale metropolis because almost everyone uses motorbike, even though some of the institutions have been very, very keen on the wearing of helmet, because if you are not wearing helmets, you are not allowed to enter the premises of these institutions. But in the open, on the streets of Tamale, only a few of the people or the users of motorbikes wear their helmets. Usually when the police want to, together with the road safety authority, want to clamp down on these people, the information gets out and you see a few people in their helmets. But on a normal day, you don't see people in their helmets, and only a handful of them will want to use the helmet.
What about the road safety authority? What are officials saying?
Yes, so what they are saying is that you will have to intensify education on the need for people to understand even why they should wear the helmet, because first of all, it's for their own safety. So, for instance, if someone is not going to the University for Development Studies to do something, the person is not wearing a helmet. If someone is not going to the Regional Health Directorate to do something, the person is not wearing a helmet. So Road Safety Authority is saying that they want to intensify their campaigns. They want to take these campaigns to the doorsteps of the people to ensure that they even understand that the wearing of the helmet is for their own safety, so that at least they can measure by close of the year to know whether the message is sinking down with the people.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Christopher Amako, our correspondent in the northern region. From the north, we go to the Ashanti region, where some aggrieved doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital have threatened to proceed on strike starting from tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th of March. The doctors say that they are being evicted from the Danyame residences by a private developer who claims to have bought the land. This afternoon, new developments are emerging as the regional minister speaks to 3FM on this issue. Ibrahim Abubakar is our man in the region. He joins us live as well on the phone. Ibrahim, just tell us more about this predicament of doctors.
Well, Beatrice, as I speak to you now, the doctors are even in an emergency meeting trying to see whether they will have to continue with a planned strike they decided to embark beginning tomorrow or not. And because of these kind of harassment, that's what they describe as, they said you are just there, you see the contractor come in and give you a week to vacate. Meanwhile, no provision have been made for you to move to anywhere. These are government lands that part have been ceded back to the Asante, and the remaining, the Regional Coordinating Council has decided to redevelop some of the land so that they will relocate these doctors and other government agencies too. And like you rightly mentioned, the minister visited those project sites this morning to look at the extent of work, and some are even around 80% complete and the likes. But one confusing thing is why the doctors are not even aware that they will have to be relocated after they leave their old place. It seems there's a miscommunication there. That communication gap clearly is there, because you speak to them, most of them are not aware. And the minister have assured them that they have even told the contractors that before they can evict any doctor to proceed with work, then at least they should rent a place for the doctor for the next 2 years. They believe that within the period of 2 years, the new apartment would have been ready for the doctors to move in. But these communications are not something the doctors are aware of. And like I said, they are in a meeting and will decide on the next line of action after they are done.
Ibrahim, thank you. But we can now listen to the regional minister, Simon Osemensa.
As a result, we have to relocate more government within that thing. And even some of those who are still within the enclave of the government, because some of the structures are sited on maybe an acre plot of land. If we have an acre plot of land, having just a 4-bedroom house, we demolish it and we put maybe 6.
You heard there, Simon Osemensa, he's the Ashanti Regional Minister, speaking about that issue about the accommodation of doctors at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. Earlier, you heard Ibrahim Abubakar, our correspondent, bringing us a situational report there. Thank you for joining us today. Our top story, think tank Imani Africa urges Supreme Court to declare that the president lacks the power to terminate the appointment of key security chiefs, including the Inspector General of Police. We brought you some more. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Good afternoon, it's Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up in today's edition, inflation projected to decline between 13 and 17% by end of year 2024. We'll bring you details of Bank of Ghana's January 2024 monetary policy report. Also, Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana calls for redevelopment of National Cathedral project into a warehouse for bumper harvest to ensure stable food prices throughout the year.
It is an opportunity for government to rather convert the cathedral project to a state-of-the-art warehouse.
Plus, government moves to roll out free mobile roaming services. We'll hear from Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Equally important is this government's bold step to implement the ECOWAS free roaming services. Although adopted in 2016, Ghana's free roaming services agreement with Côte d'Ivoire in June 2023 presents the first such arrangement. Ghana has also signed an agreement with Togo to begin free roaming services between the two countries this year. The National Communications Authority is also engaging Benin and the Gambia to establish similar free roaming bilateral agreements. In the ever-evolving landscape of technology innovation,
we'll bring you details of these stories and more in the next 10 minutes. Now, straight to our first story. Although inflation resumed the upward trajectory by going up to 23.5% after about 5 consecutive months of decline, Bank of Ghana is predicting inflation to end 2024 at a rate between 13 to 17% before trending back to within the medium to long-term target of 6 to 10% by 2025. According to the central bank, the disinflation process is expected to continue as the country remains under an IMF support program, which, according to the bank, is yielding results. Improved forex inflows from receipt of the cocoa syndicated loan and funds expected from the World Bank, the Gold for Oil program, repatriation of foreign exchange from mining and oil companies, and reduction in debt service repayments were also cited as factors which would help anchor the disinflation process. In the bank's January 2024 monetary policy report, geopolitical tensions and potential spillovers from the commodities market are noted as major risks which could potentially undermine the disinflation process. Meanwhile, financial analyst Dr. Richmond Frimpong says, although the Bank of Ghana's projection is realistic, 13% minimum targets may not be achievable by the end of the year, citing persisting supply-side inflationary pressures and potential election year risks as reasons. He spoke to 3 Business.
Realistic is just in the sense of the acknowledgement of the inflationary pressures that are still very present. And if you want to check it, you just oppose it against last year's benchmarks. we were looking at about 8% plus or minus 200 basis points. We ended the year with approximately about half or less than half of 54%. In fact, this year is even more critical in terms of it being not too achievable, even though the target setting is realistic. The reason is that there is an election year this year, and the fiscal side will weigh a lot more in the determination of our inflationary rates. And I'm saying that as long as that determines a lot, even though the 13 to about 17% looks quite realistic, even though the 13 to 17% looks quite realistic, we are likely not to achieve it because of the present supply side inflationary pressures. And then also the election year fiscal side slippages that are likely to occur. If for nothing at all, and we are able to control that because the fund is in town under an IMF program, then I'm saying that we may achieve the upper end of the projection, which is the 17 plus or minus 200 basis points, more than the lower end, which is the floor side of the projection.
Financial analyst Dr. Richmond Frimpong there. Now, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has urged the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to run all other activities under the second phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs program concurrently to ensure it achieves some impact this year. The ministry, in a press conference on Monday, March 11, announced the kickstart of the program and called on participating farmers and schools to begin their registration process. The association believes implementation of the program has delayed as farming activities for the year have already started, hence the need for all other phases of the program to run concurrently.
Yeah, so in terms of timing of implementation, my suggestion would be that, you see, some of the activities have to be done concurrently. The digital platform has been launched. Farmers are encouraged to go to the district, to contact district extension officers and district directors to get their database registered. So to me, along that, aggregators will also be engaged to start immediately by identifying service providers who support them with the various services, like mechanization services, like the seeds for the start. So that whilst we have been doing the registration, the two will be going together. Areas where it's already raining and they're about to start, we can look at these two together. Whilst you are registering, you are also supplying those services, you are plowing for them, you are giving them the seeds to start. But if you want to finish with the registration, then we go to the next stage. By the time we get to the next stage, maybe the season would have been over.
Well, the association is also calling on government to redevelop the National Cathedral project into a state-of-the-art warehouse to store harvest from the project to ensure stable prices all year round.
People who live in urban areas like Kumasi, like Accra, like Takoradi, you realize that the issue of storage is actually making it difficult for them to actually buy food at moderate prices when those goods are coming from the rural areas. So for us, we think there's a way government can handle this. Government has invested so much, they have moved people, they have destroyed facilities to establish the National Cathedral. But it is very clear that that facility is not actually going to serve the purpose or to serve the majority of Ghanaians. But it is an opportunity for government to rather convert the cathedral project to a state-of-the-art warehouse where we have cold stores for storage of vegetables, for storage of fruits, and then we also have another component for storage of cereals. Once we do that, because it's at the heart of the city, people from the various parts of the city can come there and buy them.
Dr. Charles Nyaba is Executive Secretary of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Away from that, government says plans are far advanced to roll out free mobile roaming services. According to Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the National Communications Authority is in talks with the Gambia and Benin to roll out free mobile roaming services for their citizens. This will mean that Ghanaian businessmen and women, tourists or traders traveling to these countries won't be required to pay additional services for data or any other mobile services.
Equally important is this government's bold step to implement the ECOWAS free roaming services. Although adopted in 2016, Ghana's free roaming services agreement with Cote d'Ivoire in June 2023 presents the first such arrangement. Ghana has also signed an agreement with Togo to begin free roaming services between the two countries this year. The National Communications Authority is also engaging Benin and the Gambia to establish similar free roaming bilateral agreements. In the ever-evolving landscape of technology innovation, being key to staying ahead, your customers require accessible, safe, affordable, and reliable network always.
And that was the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, ending Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Kindly log on to our website, www.3news.com, for more business stories. My name is Minu Afo. Do stay tuned. Black Rasta will be here for Urban Blend.